Oh, hello. I'm Sketch.
I'm Shades.
And this is
Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch.
Happy Halloween to all of our longtime listeners.
Spooky.
This is our second Halloween episode. Isn't that kind of fun?
Yeah.
Guys, every time you join us in a different location of the Geeking Out multiverse. This week, Shades is abuzz with excitement. Shades, you want to explain to our LTLs where we are this week?
Guys, I'm very excited.
Are you picking up some readings?
I'm getting something. I am so thrilled. This week, GoCo is set up. We are bi-coastal. The interior of GoCo is straddling time and space to a 1930s firehouse in LA. The exterior of GoCo opens out to Hook and Ladder Company number 8 in the meatpacking district of
New York
City.
We're incorporating some TARDIS technology into the GoCo
Yes.
for this episode. Okay, so if we are...
I'm getting some readings here.
Oh, geez. If we're picking up readings on our... What is that? A PKG meter?
That's a PKE meter.
PKE
It's a 9.6 on the PKE.
Oh, geez.
Slimer must be here.
That must mean that this week we are talking about...
Ghostbusters!
Ghostbusters for Halloween. And Shades' childhood fulfilled here in the GoCo. So if we're talking Ghostbusters this week... Wait, do we have a theme song?
I think we do.
I think we have to have a theme song.
Is there something strange in your neighborhood, Sketch?
Well, if there is, who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters!
Bustin' makes me feel good.
It does.
Perfect.
Okay, so guys, just right off the bat, spoilers for
Everything's Ghostbusters.
All things Ghostbusters. We're talking the original two movies,
Yep.
84 and 88. We might talk some real Ghostbusters cartoon. We might talk some extreme Ghostbusters cartoons. We'll be talking 2016 reboot, affectionately titled After the Fact, Ghostbusters Answer the Call.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else that the Ghostbusters video game,
Yeah. Absolutely,
from that came out in 2009.
Also, spoilers galore for Shades' formative years.
Spoilers for my childhood.
Spoilers for Shades' adult life.
Spoilers for adulthood.
And probably spoilers for the afterlife
Spoilers for the afterlife
as well. So, if
spoilers for...
if you don't want to be spoiled for the afterlife, maybe die first, then tune into the episode.
Spoilers for reincarnation.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the Judeo-Christian biblical lore.
So I think we've covered it all.
Spoilers for 16th century paintings of Carpathian magicians.
Mhm.
I think
That's a big span of time.
Spoilers for Sumerian and Hittite deity lore.
Yeah.
Spoiler for Oscar Myers.
Spoilers galore.
Spoilers galore.
So, Ghostbusters. Where do you want to start?
Sketch.
Where do you want to
When
start
you
with
said,
Ghostbusters?
hey, let's do Ghostbusters.
Let's do Ghostbusters. I said, at first I think I said, have you ever seen Ghostbusters? That was the first thing I said.
No, you know I'm like, you're Star Wars
I'm
kid.
Star Wars.
I'm Ghostbusters kid.
Yeah.
This is my Star Wars.
Absolutely. No one has ever argued that.
Yeah.
Yes, you are definitely.
I am Ghostbusters
Yes.
kid.
You have your handmade Proton Pack?
Guys, this is usually the point where we start talking about history with Ghostbusters. I built my first Proton Pack at the tender age of 10 with working lights.
There you go.
When we heard that a game was coming out in 2008,
Mhm.
I feverishly set about the task of building a screen-accurate replica Proton Pack with screen-accurate lights and sounds.
I didn't know that's what prompted you to build it.
Screen-accurate flight suit
Wow.
with appropriate screen-accurate name tag and shoulder patches, belt gizmos, the affectionately dubbed P-tube that nobody knows what it does, that just kind of goes into the left leg of the suit in the first movie. Yeah.
Well, let's go back even further.
Okay.
When did you first see Ghostbusters?
I don't know when I first saw the first one.
Okay.
My earliest memories of Ghostbusters
Yeah.
is the real Ghostbusters cartoon,
Okay.
syndicated cartoon.
Mhm.
I watched the shit out of that.
Okay.
On USA Network before
Watch
school,
the shit out of it.
on ABC Saturday morning cartoons.
Mhm.
I watched it all the way through Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters when it became Slimer's show.
Oh.
I think I know I saw the first movie before the second came out. So maybe 1986 or 7, because the second movie came out in 89.
So you were
88,
young.
5 years later, 89. I was young. Oh, yeah.
Very young.
Like from an early age,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. If we look at control room window of GoCo, you'll see my Peter Venkman.
I see it right there.
Real Ghostbuster.
Yeah. Standing right next to Michelangelo.
It's actually Raphael.
It looks.
Yeah,
Are you sure? Because I'm very versed in Italian Renaissance painters, and I really think that he is using the color palette right now of Michelangelo's Sistine Ceiling and not School of Athens.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. No, it is Raphael. I see the red from here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't really know where to start with my love of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It is as ingrained
Where will
in
it
my
end?
Earliest memory. That's a
question your wife is asking.
Great question. I'm sure. Yeah, right through to the game coming out did kind of spur me on with the prop building.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to like wear my gear as I played the game.
Sure.
Those of you not in the know, for the game, you play as the rookie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like meant that anybody can be the rookie in the game, and it's all over the shoulder.
Yeah. I back in the day, I made a full set of Ocarina of Time props.
Very cool.
And I would often, have those around or wear Link's hat when I was playing Zelda.
Very cool.
So, I'm right there with you.
Understand.
I get it.
In 2009, I formed with a group of individuals a charity costuming group that raised money for both St. Jude's Children's Hospital and Massachusetts Food Bank. We did some great charity work. The group continues. We formed under New England Ghostbusters, and the group survives today as Massachusetts Ghostbusters. You can check them out on Facebook. We'll include a link. They're carrying on the good work that the organization set out to do, and you can find them at cons in the area and events. And power to you guys for keeping it going.
Very cool.
Sketch, what's your history with Ghostbusters?
Not as in depth as yours. I have vague memories of the real Ghostbusters cartoon. So at some point in my childhood, I saw some episodes. I never watched it with any gusto or anything. It was just one of the shows on. I probably didn't see the Ghostbusters movies until middle school, maybe.
Okay.
And I can remember them just like being on like Comedy Central the first time I saw them.
Oh yeah, okay.
So I saw them. I saw them televised. And
it's kind of a downer. A lot of the comedies dubbed out.
Well,
to get through the censors.
And then I don't have the appreciation for it that you do. I appreciate it as a giant juggernaut in our pop culture.
Sure.
And because it is like Star Wars.
It is one of the most quotable movies of all time. It's right up there with May the Force Be With You. Who are you going to call? It's like part of our zeitgeist. Yeah. If you've never seen the movie, you know that the appropriate
someone
response
says to you, who are you going to call?
You know to respond with Ghostbusters.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Even if you've never seen a cartoon or a movie or played a game.
And so I saw the two movies. And then that was it for a long time. And the 2016 movie came out, and I remember asking you, are you excited? And you were.
Yes.
And then I heard it wasn't that great from other people, variety of people, and I just never got around to seeing it.
Thank you for putting that out there, that I was, in fact, excited when it was coming out.
Yes, you were, in fact, excited.
Yes.
And then, so that one kind of came and left without me ever seeing it. And then when I mentioned doing this episode for Halloween, you brought up the video game and how it is basically the third movie.
Yes.
And
the third movie that we never got.
And how you can basically, people on YouTube have kind of stitched together the cutscenes and some key gameplay to give you the movie because
Yes.
it's written by.
It is written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis.
Yeah.
It is directed by Ivan Reitman and produced by him. It's
voice acted
voiced
by
the entire cast. Annie Potts, Bill Murray, Harold Ramis. It's Harold Ramis' last performance, really.
Yeah.
Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson all come back and lend their voices.
It really is
the voice of Vigo the Carpathian, Vigo the Butch.
Everyone's
comes back and offers his voice. There's like a Easter egg in the game where you can talk to the Vigo painting, which I know doesn't make any sense because in Ghostbusters 2 the painting morphs, but that's neither here nor there. It's funny and
let it go, guys.
Let it go. Suspend your disbelief. It's fun.
I felt keyboards all across this great country of ours, just firing up.
Oh.
Yeah. And then last night, I finally sat down and watched the 2016 Ghostbusters Answer the Call with you.
Yeah.
So now I have seen it all.
That was the culminating experience.
That was my latest Ghostbuster memory, my most recent, the cream that has floated to the top.
We followed that up with Extreme Ghostbusters.
We did watch the
pilot episode
of Extreme Ghostbusters. Yeah, that's my most recent Ghostbuster memory. So there you go. That's my history with Ghostbusters. Definitely not as deep as Shades, but I feel like I can talk about it.
Sure.
And I think we're gonna have two different opinions on this franchise from two different standpoints.
Okay. I'm scared. Should we get into it?
You want to do a little brief synopsis?
Sure. So
brief.
Yes,
brief
very
synopsis.
Brief. Ghostbusters evolves out of a 40-page treatment.
Perfect. Right? That's all you need to know. All right. So all important no, go ahead.
Way back in 1982, Dan Aykroyd writes a 40-page treatment for a vehicle movie starring himself and John Belushi.
Okay.
Called Ghost Catchers.
Ghost Catchers.
Who
you gonna hail?
Yeah.
Ghost Catchers.
And between that treatment and pre-production of this movie, John Belushi dies.
Yes.
Because they were comic partners. They did a lot of movies together. Kind of puts it on the shelf. And it was a very different movie. It took place in the future.
Oh.
Like way in the future, like 2030, something like that. And they're like, they're flying cars. It's very futuristic. But the premise is that the Ghost Catchers, and I think by the end of it, it had turned into Ghostbusters. They're part of like city municipality, which we kind of get in the game. Like, they finally become just part of city services, like police, fire, sanitation.
Absolutely.
And there are just ghosts flying around.
Yeah.
Because in like 2030, like you have this mass population of the undead that are just kind of inhabiting the environment. So when your house is haunted, the city just rolls out the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you need exterminators for these vermin.
It gets in the hands of Ivan Reitman.
Okay.
Legendary director, producer at that time. He had done American Werewolf at that point, as well as some other kind of comedy. He'd never done like a big budget movie at this point. And it gets in his hands, and he's like, "There's something here, but you should reach out to Harold Ramis and have him take a pass at the script." And Harold and Dan and Ivan Reitman go away to Martha's Vineyard, where Dan Aykroyd lives, and in a furious 2-month window, bang out the first 100 pages of the script.
Okay.
Ivan Reitman takes it to Sony and says, "I've got this idea." Then Columbia Pictures. It's going to cost $30 million to make. And he just pulled that number out of the sky because it was twice the budget of the movie he had made previously.
Okay.
Sony says, "Fine, as long as you have it out by June of 1984.
Okay. When did it come out?
June 1984.
Perfect.
This is June of 1983. Script is not finished.
Yeah.
To replace John Belushi, they reach out to Bill Murray, who's in like Paris at the time. He's kind of like, he's studying philosophy. He's kind of given up on comedy. He rolls off the tarmac on day one, and they put him in the jumpsuit. They take him to where they're filming, and boom. The first thing they film is the three of them running down the street from in the first movie during their like montage sequence.
Yeah.
and Buzz immediately starts going around New York.
Wow.
And it's already the biggest movie that's going to come out in 1984.
Mhm.
And now they have to write a script that's going to live up to
the expectations.
So what do? All right. It's 1984. They ground the script. So Ghostbusters starts as this like entrepreneurship, right? So they're disgraced academics starting a business, and their business just happens to be paranormal investigations and eliminations.
Mhm.
And through the course of doing their job, they kind of stumble onto this plot that's been set in motion that just happens from time to time over the course of millennia. Society just gets wiped out over and over and over. And come to find out, it's this interdimensional god, Gozer the Gozerian, who shows up every so often and chooses the form of the destructor that will end your civilization so that the world can start over again.
I just realized Gozer the Gozerian, all Gozerians are named after Gozer.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
So I would be like Sketch the Sketchy.
Sketch the Sketchy.
And you'd be Shades the Shady.
Shade, yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
Little
egotistical.
A little bit.
On Gozer's part.
But I mean,
he doesn't have many faults, but an ego might be one of them.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But, got the power to back it up.
So they got to bust.
So there are these
up
paranormal exterminators and eliminators who are pulled into this larger event.
Yeah, way over
their heads.
Way over their heads.
But they're the only ones that can step
do
up
anything
and
about
do
this.
anything about it.
Yep.
And that's the first movie.
Yeah.
First movie is really like more of an entrepreneurship. And the second movie is a little bit different. It's more of, we have to save the world. This is just what we do now.
This is our job now.
This is our job.
We're established.
We're established. Saving the world is our job.
It's the difference between Iron Man and Avengers.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is the difference. That's a great modern day comparison.
Yep.
And hilarity and hijinks ensue.
Absolutely.
It's just a fun, wild ride.
It is.
Both movies, I think, in their own way.
And then the game.
And the game really brings the two movies, it ties them together really nicely.
It does.
It's a really nice piece of writing to take these two things that are seemingly not connected and then give them commonality. And it brings back a lot of the Gozer lore from the first movie, and then like the slime aspect,
the second movie,
emotions and machinations of man and the aspirations of man, like the idea of God is dead because man killed him mentality. And with that,
the nice thing about the video game is that you look at the events of 1 and the events of 2 as two separate events that the Ghostbusters have thwarted. The only common thread being that they are paranormal in nature.
Yes.
And 3 demonstrates that both things had a much deeper connection. They were both very deeply related to each other. And as such, it is kind of the Ghostbusters' responsibility to bring that whole thing to an end.
That is the key of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the game really ends the story of the original Ghostbusters very nicely. It wraps the whole thing up, puts a little bow on it, and it also, because this is 2008, we're already into this world, it also allows, it gives a little allowance at the end to say, you know what? Ghostbusters can continue. We've given permission to allow Ghostbusters to continue. But this
without
team,
these characters,
this character, their story has concluded.
Yeah, and there's IDW does a comic run in which I don't know when they take place really, but you see that it does a great job. It brings in the character of Eduardo from the Extreme Ghostbusters, and it takes the Rookie and it shows that they are established as part of a team in Chicago.
Okay.
So that like the franchising that they've always talked about way back in the first movie,
they did,
and that Venkman talks about in the game, like franchise is available shortly. That by I think the comics take place in somewhere like 96 or 98 or early 2000. Yeah, they've franchised, they've licensed, and they're bringing in characters from the extended universe and making them part of the comic continuity.
Very good.
So the story is still going, or you can stop at the game.
And then so And so from there, now that all the groundwork has been laid, it's brought back in 2016.
Yes.
And the decision is made to
entirely new universe.
New universe.
Ghostbusters Answer the Call is complete. It's a different reality.
Even though we have been allowed to naturally make these situations in which other Ghostbusters can show up in the world, be their own team. We're going to erase all of the, quote, real world history of the Ghostbusters.
Yes.
And we're going to use the established kind of idea of pop culture in your head of what a Ghostbuster is, what their technology is, what they do. And we're just going to start from scratch.
Yes.
Okay. And there you go.
That was a choice.
That was the choice. We'll get into that.
Should we do the all-important internet score?
Yeah, how do we want... are we going to break this down one by one?
I'm going to give the universe an overall score.
Okay.
But I have to talk about these movies.
I don't want to give the universe overall score because one... I won't say which.
Right.
One
lowers the score of the universe.
One score will lower it significantly, and it won't be a fair depiction.
And I agree with that.
Okay. So do you want to do this a little bit kind of what? How about this? Okay. At least for me, rank Ghostbusters.
Rank the movies? Or
the four. We're gonna guys, for this podcast, we are going to call the video game Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah, Ghostbusters 3.
Okay, because it really is a movie. It just happens to be a movie that you play in between
scenes. It's an interactive movie.
Yeah. So out of the 4 core movies, let's leave the animation out of it for now.
Okay.
The shows. And let's just go with the 4 movies.
Sure.
Rank them best. I will say best to worst. Your favorite to your least favorite.
Sure. It's interesting because at different points in my life, my favorite movie has been Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
And I know...
And similarly for me with Star Wars. My favorite Star Wars has always changed depending on what part of my life I'm in.
And so...
Spoiler alert, right now I'm in between things. I don't know which Star Wars is my favorite Star Wars right now.
Yeah. It's interesting. As a child, I always liked Ghostbusters 2 more.
Okay.
I would say right up through my early teens, I liked Ghostbusters 2 more.
Okay. Not a popular opinion. If you look scores up online.
It is not it's not a popular opinion amongst the worlds of Ghostbusters fan franchises either.
But we're not here to make popular opinions. Shades.
But if I had to rank them, I would start with Ghostbusters at the top. Original.
Yep.
For a number of reasons that I could talk about if you'd like.
I think you're gonna, regardless of whether or not I want you to.
Sure. And right below that, I would put Ghostbusters 2.
Okay.
Followed by Ghostbusters the game.
Okay.
Followed by Real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters.
Oh, I thought we were leaving the animation.
Yeah, I know we're not supposed to. Followed by like every other movie that I've ever seen ever that I didn't like. Followed by Ghostbusters 2016 Answer the Call.
Okay. So not going to say a bad movie, just going to say your least favorite.
Least favorite movie.
Did I say? Least favorite thing.
Please don't put words in my mouth. Sketch.
I didn't. I was reinforcing to our longtime listeners that you didn't say a bad movie. You
longtime listeners, go back and listen to the tape.
Your least favorite.
Those words.
Your least favorite movie. Okay.
Bad did not come out of my mouth, longtime listeners.
I have a slightly different order than you. I don't have any of the
emotional attachment.
I don't have any of the emotional attachment to this movie. I enjoy the movie, the universe. I enjoy the universe as a whole. But this movie universe didn't do anything to my like growth and my formative years, right? Because for starters, I didn't see it until a lot of my formative years were done.
Right. Yeah.
So that being said, here's my...
Whoa, PK is going crazy here. Oh, boy.
Here's my ranking. I am going to put... hey, guys, remember, I said... I'm not here to do the popular opinions. I'm just doing my own opinions here. Number 1, I'm going to put Ghostbusters 3.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Because what I loved about it... We'll get into specifics, but I loved how it tied everything together.
I love that.
It was a fulfilling... conclusion for me.
Okay.
It's kind of cheating a little bit because it relies so heavily on
the
1 and
first
2.
two.
It can't stand alone.
Right.
But I'm not doing standalone things here.
We're talking about the universe.
I'm ranking them. So because for me it was such a fulfilling conclusion to their story, it gets and because it so cleverly ties the two together, it gets my number 1 ranking. But
Fantastic.
Right below that, I put Ghostbusters 2. I do like Ghostbusters 2 more than I like Ghostbusters 1. In preparation for this, I wrote a page of arguments for why, in case I have angry pitchforks lining up outside the GoCo.
I would love to hear some of those.
And then
I respect it. I don't disagree with you. I think it's a great movie.
And then underneath that, I put Ghostbusters 1.
Okay.
And now they're all close.
Yeah.
They're all close. And then my least favorite is Answer the Call. 2016.
And we'll get into that, I'm sure.
And we will open that up.
All right.
Is this a time? Should I defend why I like 2 more than 1 now, or because they're not really rants, they're not really raves, they're just reasons.
Sure, please.
And feel free to disagree with me.
Okay.
On any of these points. Okay, I have 6 reasons. Number 1 reason. There's more ghosts than in the first movie.
There are more ghosts than in the first movie.
And I want more ghosts.
Well, keep in mind,
it's a movie about Ghostbusters.
They only had $30 million to work with for the first movie, and they made the movie for $31 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty damn good. ILM doing the effects work.
It's great.
But there weren't a lot. I mean, there were two times they used the Proton Packs.
And like I was even okay with the Gray Lady in the library, like just her simple effect before she, kind of morphed and got demonic.
It was great.
Pop in a little more of those. Those are cheaper to make than.
I strong agree. Yeah.
Number 2, this is a big difference. This really sets 2 apart. It's the difference between an ominous threat
Yep.
and an active villain. In 2, we have an active villain.
Yes.
And we see from their point of view what they're going against.
Yes.
Or why they're going after the Ghostbusters. In 1, it's more of just, there's a threat and we need to stop it.
Like, oh, thank goodness there happens to be this new company that started.
Yes. And I prefer the kind of more of the dichotomy against each other.
We talked about this as you were watching. 2 is much more cinematic.
Yes.
2 is very much like it is funny.
Uh-huh.
I think it's funnier than 1 in some ways.
That's another one of my arguments. I laughed more in 2 than I did in 1.
And 2 is more like situational humor.
Yes, 2, yeah.
2 rewatching it, when I recently rewatched it, it really looks a lot like Back to the Future.
Yeah, it does.
And the way it's shot and the situational. And Ivan Reitman's that kind of director that always learned from his peers. Like in 1, he does the door with the light behind it. And he was like, oh, well, like Spielberg did that with Close Encounters. Like, I can do that. I can do it better and I can do it cheaper. And I think he did. I think he pulled it off. And so like the style, the way 2 is shot, it's much more cinematic and it's much more like a movie than 1 is. Like
a good old theater movie.
Yeah.
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 And 1, just the humor's much more subtle.
Yeah.
And I think for me in a movie like this, everything's smaller in 1. And just because of the premise of Ghostbusters itself being outlandish,
right?
I want the humor level to up and meet that.
I'll agree.
I mean, with some of my arguments, I think Vigo is a better villain than Gozer, which is very similar to me saying the threat versus like a real villain. I'm going to save one of mine because it peppers into one of my rants. And then my last one, which I think is very controversial, is even though I will recognize I had problems with this aspect of the movie as an artist, I preferred the animated Statue of Liberty marching through the streets of New York than I did Gozer, the Destructor, in the form of the Stay Puft Marshmallow.
Oh, I don't know if I agree with
you. Don't have to agree with it. I said this is an unpopular opinion.
That's the only one I disagree with.
I liked the notion of getting the New Yorkers pumped and behind, and that their emotions.
Premise is great. I'll agree with you on the premise of use, and I liked the dichotomy of like you have this jolly but terrifying destructor walking through the streets that are like terrorizing New Yorkers, and then you have this beacon of hope walking through that are inspiring New Yorkers. I like that. I think it looked better in the first one. I liked that it was a practical guy in a suit on a miniature stage, as opposed to there was a lot of stitching together.
I mean, it was definitely someone in a suit for the Statue of Liberty, but then they kept superimposing people in front. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely problematic. The thing I kept shouting at the screen was statues don't work that way.
Right.
Statues don't work that way. Statue of Liberty does not have legs, so she can't move. She's hollow inside.
We're getting dangerously close to rants.
It's not a rant for me, but she should be penguin waddling down the streets because all she has is feet and ankles.
Lady Liberty can't step on a police car because she doesn't have a bottom of her foot.
Right. So that,
we're getting dangerously close to rants and raves here. We got to do the scores.
Okay, let's do all important internet scores, then we'll get into our rants and raves. Okay. Again, that wasn't a rant of mine.
They were just objective.
That was just the artist in me going,
guys, we're geeking out on this episode.
Sculptures don't work that way.
So we're going to go movie by movie?
Yeah.
Score by score? Yeah. All right, so let's start with Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters 1.
IMDb.
Yeah.
7.8.
Okay.
Hard stare, IMDb.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes. Critic score, 97%.
Okay.
Fan score, 88%.
Okay.
Metacritic, 71%. Google reviewers, 92% of Google reviewers.
This might be the first time we've had Google reviewers be lower than a Rotten Tomatoes critic score.
Yes, it is. 92% of Google reviewers like this movie. Shades of Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch gives Ghostbusters, the original 1984 movie, 98%.
Wow. I thought you were going full 100.
No,
we'll get into it. Sketch gives it an 85.
Oof. Okay. I take back my oof. That was my
wait till you hear about some of the other scores I've given.
Okay. Ghostbusters 2. And I just want to preface Ghostbusters 2 with the studio wanted a sequel. The creators and the cast and the writers never intended to make a sequel. They thought that at the end of Ghostbusters 1, that was the end of the story.
1 is certainly standalone, just the way A New Hope could be standalone of Star Wars.
It's a sequel that no one wanted to do. And I always keep that in the back of my mind that, damn, did they write a good script?
Yeah.
And, damn, did they make a great movie?
Still professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. From the director to the writers to the actors.
You're getting me nervous here.
No one wanted to make this movie.
Okay, but what did it get?
Mixed reactions. Okay. IMDb, 6.5.
Oh.
Rotten Tomatoes, critic score, 53%. What? I don't understand that. Metacritic gives it a 56. 89% of Google reviewers like Ghostbusters 2. Shades of Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch gives Ghostbusters 2 an 89.
Okay. I gave it a 90. We're very close.
We're very close.
Very close.
Very close. You can feel it. We're very close on this one. Yeah. Guys, there's going to be a lot of this for me in this episode. There's going to be a lot.
This is going to be a Shades heavy episode. Guys, don't tune out. I promise I will say some things.
I'm just going to throw this in here because I have fond memories of them. The cartoons, I've combined the cartoons of Real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters because I did watch them both. I'd give them both an 85. Okay. There's some excellent writing in those cartoons. J. Michael Straczynski, it got 5 Emmys.
Okay.
It's very good. 2009 video game, Ghostbusters 3. By the way,
guys, I won't rate the animated series because I haven't given enough a chance. I've only seen a couple episodes of both.
The Ghostbusters 3. It's tough because it's a video game.
It's a video game, so it has different.
These are IGN scores. Yep. It did not get a Game of the Year.
Oh.
It did audition, didn't get nominations for that. IGN gave Ghostbusters 3. Maybe it changed since the last time I looked. IGN gave it an 8.5.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
That's very good. What'd you give it?
95.
Oh, okay. I gave it.
That's higher than my Ghostbusters 2 score.
I gave it a 92.
Wow. Fantastic. 92. I loved that game. It's probably the game I've played most, with the exception of the Uncharted series.
Okay. High praise.
Oh yeah. Love it.
Because also Nathan Drake is also standing over there.
He is.
On the GoCo mantle.
Yeah, he is.
The real Nathan Drake.
The real Nathan, yeah.
Gagged and bound and begging to be let loose.
Got to do what you got to do.
All right, and that's it. No more
scores
Ghostbusters to talk about.
Where are my Ghostbusters Answer the Call scores?
Ooh, I think they're there in the garbage.
Oh boy.
Oops.
Yikes. Okay. Here they are.
Ghostbusters Answer the Call. You can't. This movie and the drama that revolved around it at its opening cannot be separated.
I've reconfigured the PKE
yes.
To detect uncomfortableness with talking about this movie.
If this was the real world when Ghostbusters Answer the Call came out, the pink slime would have taken over the world. Forget about global warming. We'd all be 3 feet under pink goo.
Like, guys, that's a big Twinkie.
It's a big Twinkie.
This is the biggest interdimensional cross rip since the Tunguska Blast of 1909.
Which you all remember.
Yes.
So, do you have the scores?
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
That's basically what happened when this movie came out.
The trailer for this movie is the most disliked thing to ever appear on YouTube. I think that's just ridiculous.
I mean, to be fair, YouTube has everything on it. Aren't there probably like archived footage of like Hitler speeches on YouTube?
Right.
Maybe
I'm
one
sure
of our
there's
long-time
something
listeners knows.
wildly inappropriate on Netflix.
Yeah.
On YouTube that should have be the most disliked thing. Some like racist rant.
Those are definitely
you know what I mean?
Like,
this is the most disliked thing on YouTube ever, which is just ridiculous.
Immediate guttural reaction from the
internet.
Yeah.
Okay. Answer the Call. And Rotten Tomatoes, I'm looking at you on this one with a hard stare. But IMDb gives it a 5.4.
Okay. A little high.
It's a little high. Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
74%.
What the fuck?
How does this movie have a higher score than Ghostbusters 2? I don't know.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. I don't understand how it has a higher score than Ghostbusters 2.
Even just, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
But even just production quality as a movie.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Metacritic gives it a 60%.
Okay.
Google reviewers. It's the lowest Google review.
Oh, I'm excited. I thought you were going to say high.
54% of Google reviewers.
Like Ghostbusters Answer the Call.
Right.
Okay.
Shades.
Of Geeking Out with Shades
Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch gives Ghostbusters Answer the Call a 32%.
Nice.
32.
I can't wait to really unpack that with you. Sketch of Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch gives Ghostbusters Answer the Call a 45%. Possibly my lowest score.
This is my lowest score.
It's
either this or Civil War.
Oh, wait. When we did the Doctor Who Christmas special from last year, we went low.
We did 30s.
I think I gave the Doctor Who Christmas special
I can look.
a 40, and I can't give this higher than that, so I will give this a 39%.
You're taking back your score.
Yeah, because if I had to watch one of those two things again, last year's Doctor Who Christmas special or Ghostbusters Answer the Call, I would definitely watch the Doctor Who Christmas special again.
That is.
And here's the thing with me is I feel like I'm slightly higher than Shades on this one because it's for him. I don't think you can take out.
I can't separate my nostalgia.
Yeah, and it's offensive to you as such a diehard fan.
Oh yeah.
And again, simply because they're women, right? I mean, that was always.
Yep, that was always my biggest criticism.
That's all I've read online. That if you dislike the movie, you just have a problem with women.
Now I've now calibrated this to detect levels of misogyny.
It's pretty low right now, actually. Yeah,
pretty low. Guys, it's a bad movie.
Regardless,
it's a poorly constructed movie, and we're going to get into why that is.
We're going to get into it.
I've said this from day one. My problem with Ghostbusters Answer the Call is not the actors. Mm-hmm. I think they did the best they could with the script and direction.
Yeah, the direction
they received.
I'm going to mainly say the direction.
Yeah.
Let's start with raves.
Great.
You have any raves for Ghostbusters Answer the Call? No, I'm just kidding. The entire universe. Just do the entire universe. And listen, our longtime listeners, they want to know. Let's try to keep this at a tight number of raves. Because I know you could do 24 hours of solid raves.
Do you smell something? I love that line. It's classic.
It's classic.
It's a classic Aykroyd line. Listen, do you smell something? Rave number 1. Practical effects. Flippin' fantastic opening scene right off the bat. Original Ghostbusters.
With the library?
Oh my goodness. The whole setup of the card catalog opening.
Yeah.
And I love the way that they did this.
Yeah.
It's a fake wall. So they shot this in the basement. So the upstairs of the library, they're in the New York Public Library.
Yeah.
The basement of the library, they're in the LA Public Library.
Mm-hmm.
And they built a fake wall, put in a fake card catalog, and they put copper tubing in each one of those drawers and pneumatically with air blew the cards out in a row, one by one out of that. It's all practical effects. The books on the wire moving between the stacks. I just love the opening setup of this. Before we ever see a ghost, we create the atmosphere with practical effects.
Yeah.
The eggs jumping out of
and cooking
on a countertop. Basically, they made an induction top stove and made it look like a counter.
Yeah.
In Ghostbusters 2, the toaster.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a mechanical toaster. You see the springs on the bottom popping, but it works. It's great. Glass suspended on wire that they cut and then drop it's just a jig with crystals in the montage scene where they have like the laser trap and they cut all the crystals and they drop and shatter and everything breaks. You remember that scene?
Don't remember that scene.
But it's fantastic.
Really trying to place it.
It's fantastic.
Is that 1 or 2?
2. The chairs in the courtroom jump flipping the chairs over and they're getting close. It's like that shark in Jaws.
Yeah.
We never see the ghost. We just see the chairs being knocked over, and you get that something menacing is just going to rip them to shreds.
Yeah.
I love all of the practical effects.
And to be fair, when I said one of the things I liked about 2 more than 1 was more ghosts, all I needed in 1 was more of those.
Yeah.
Instances too.
Yes.
And I mean, those compared to actually rendering the ghosts, I don't need the actual ghosts on screen. I just need to see their like creepy effects. That library scene at the beginning is probably just one of the best scenes in all of Ghostbusters. And I just wanted more scenes like that throughout.
Sure.
Everything. Which I think the video game also gave us more of those because it relied more heavily in gameplay,
animated
exactly,
worlds.
And you have to be in the environments, and the environments have to be menacing.
But they did retain a lot of the environmental effects in the game, which I loved.
Yeah,
they didn't just rely on the's a ghost in front of you.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, all of the constructs when you fight the
when you're in the library and the books all form together and the lamp is at the top.
Golem, Golem-esque characters that are environmental effects, or like books flying at you like bats.
Yeah. And when you're walking through I didn't play the game, but I watched the movie. And, you're walking from scene to scene and things happen, like a sign falls or just books fly out of a shelf. Right? Those things.
Right.
Those things. Those paranormal things. The in-betweens between completely normal and there's a ghost standing right in front of me.
It's not just like zero to ghost like in
other things.
I'm going to say it like in Answer the Call. It's zero to ghost.
It's 0 to ghost.
0 to ghost.
It's 0 to ghost. Gabe gets spooked for 45 seconds in the beginning and then ghost. And well, it panned away from him, but yeah,
we don't see the ghost,
but we know the ghost is there.
We know the ghost is there. Yep. We never. Anyway, what's your first rave sketch?
To put it very simply, just the premise. Exterminators for the paranormal. Yeah, it's fun and it's interesting and it's unique. I mean, it's hard now.
It's not unique now.
Yeah, it's hard now to go. Yeah, of course. Well, think of it as the thing that started this off. Right. It just like we say it a lot. Like, give me something unique. Like that's
something new and
fun, awesome thing that I wish. It's one of those things I wish. I had like a neuralizer from MIB and could erase my memory of Ghostbusters and just like see it again from the start.
And what I love about that is like Ghostbusters gave us so many new takes on it. Mm-hmm. Evolution. Men in Black, the Marvel movies like that we have today. Like it spawned
Luigi's Mansion.
It spawned so many new takes on an idea like we would not have without Ghostbusters. There would be no Marvel movies in the vein of like this comedy action thing without Ghostbusters. Yeah. It was the first one. And it was the highest grossing movie of like all time for a long time. I think until Titanic knocked it.
Yeah, I do remember Titanic became number one.
It knocked everything off. Yeah. Like Ghostbusters was like a huge phenomenon. It was the highest grossing movie of 1984. They re-released it in 1985. It went to number one again. It was the number one song in America for a year. I mean, it was a cultural phenomenon.
Because you brought it up, the Titanic, the short 5-second Titanic scene in Ghostbusters 2.
Some dock worker down at the pier.
That like haunted me for years
that afterwards.
Really,
it's like, oh my God.
Effed me up.
And they had just found
the Titanic.
Like we didn't know everything we know about it.
No, obviously not,
how
because
it sank. They have the giant hole in the side, and you're just like,
which is what we believed for decades.
And all the people like in line, the porters.
Yes.
That was really
that literally haunted me.
Yeah,
for years. That image stayed with me.
The ghosts are much more haunting in 2.
When I rewatched 2 just a couple days ago, I was almost like nervous to see that scene again, and it still is like just a haunting scene.
It really is. Yeah. It's so old. It is. Yeah. That is the perfect word for it. Like, no pun intended. It is haunting.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the ghosts haunting. Like, the image sticks with you. It's
a great way to play on something Titanic in, like, the mind of every person in the world. Like, everybody knows the story of Titanic and how tragic it is. And it maybe takes up 2 seconds.
It's so fast. That was the thing when I rewatched it. Because it had such an impact on me.
Right.
It really shocked me how short of a little clip that is, you know?
Cheech Marin, by the way.
Cheech Marin is the dock worker. Yep.
Oh, better late than never.
Yep. But just to end my rave, I just wrote down here, you've proven the existence of life after death. So what do? Make a buck off.
Yeah, and I will piggyback onto this. The idea that it's based in science, that they are, and I wrote down men of science, but it's not that they're men, but they're scientists banishing the darkness with technology. And they are, it's the dark humor of it all. Life after death. Like, you've proven the existence of ghost and you're totally unimpressed with it.
Yeah.
At no time, like, Ray's a little excited at first.
Yes.
And I have a big question about this later. But Ray's like the only one who's excited about it. Yeah. They are so totally unimpressed with the existence of ghosts.
They're like a group of researchers who are, documenting some rare animal in the forest. And like, they're excited when we finally found one.
Right.
And then it just turns into work. Like, okay, now we have to.
Right.
Now we have to do the observing. Now we have to do the documenting. Now it's Monday through Friday, everybody.
Yes, exactly. And they're so unimpressed that they turn it into a business venture.
Yeah.
So that I like that we both had that as a rave.
Yeah. Do you have a rave?
Yes. The character development.
Okay.
Specifically of movies 1 through 3.
Okay.
Because they really did a great job of fleshing out characters on the page and then letting them evolve. Like, you can tell that maybe the way they wrote a character is not the character that made it into the movie.
Okay.
So, like, the character on the page was their starting point.
Yeah.
And then through the course of like maybe 4 or 5 takes, like, find the essence of that character. And we didn't write this in the script, but now this character is going to do or say that. Like, I find it hard to believe that like Egon's Twinkie speech.
Yes.
I have the original shooting script, so I know it wasn't in the movie. I know it evolved organically on set, like the Twinkie, because like they made the Crunch Bar joke in the beginning of the movie. So then like they decided that Egon's thing was going to be food.
Okay. My favorite Egon line was the Slinky.
In 2.
Yeah.
We had half a Slinky.
We had a Slinky.
But I straightened it.
Yeah. And I was like, even not being a Ghostbusters kid, I was like, that line is just perfectly Egon.
Perfectly Egon.
Yes.
Another great one
just
is
to be like, I fixed it. I saw a problem and I fixed it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What happens when we take away the puppy?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
But so they have these character archetypes. You get the brain, Egon, the heart, Ray, the mouth, Venkman, the muscle, Winston. He's like, and I don't mean that like
the hands.
Like he is the practical applications guy.
Yeah.
He gets the job done. He's clutch.
Yep.
I love Winston. And the mom, Janine, that like takes care of them all. Like they're exhausted asleep. She's still at her desk working.
Yeah.
Even in 2, you see less of Janine, and she had like a breakout TV role by that point. But she's still like, she's
did?
Oh yeah, Annie Potts was like all over TV after Ghostbusters.
I don't know that. I didn't watch a lot of TV back then.
That's fair.
I was a little kid. I wasn't allowed.
But she's taking care of Oscar. Like she's gonna babysit. Like she's the caregiver. Like the mom.
And
anyway, okay. The Lewis thing is it's a little dicey.
What?
But
dicey?
just that they all, it was kind of predatory on her part.
It was groundbreaking. Thank you, Shades.
It's like I've now calibrated the PKE to detect BS. Oh boy, yikes! I love that they had character archetypes that they stuck with and that evolved over the course of.
Yeah, they didn't stay stale.
They didn't.
You didn't get the exact same in 2.
You didn't, and you didn't get the exact in the game either. Like I love to see Janine's role evolve in 3.
Right.
And in 1, she's like, "Oh no, you cannot come in here without some kind of writ or a warrant." Like she's their protector.
Yeah.
So like the character arc over the course of the original universe.
Yes. Okay. Including the video game.
I include that in the original universe, the 3rd movie.
Okay.
You're a rave.
I'm going to say this one completely knowing that you're going to steamroll me and take it over. But the tech of Ghostbusters.
Thank you.
I like that it's like, it's not refined. It's not pretty.
Yes.
It's like, it's clanky. It's cobbled together and you believe it works.
Yes.
It's made.
You believe they made it with pieces of like kitchen equipment.
Yes. Whatever was necessary. It was completely made function over design.
Yes.
And that just seeing the gear is another piece of Egon's personality and character,
no frills,
complete functionality. And I just really liked it. I really, really liked it.
I love the aesthetic. I think I said this in Star Wars Last Jedi. Like the 2 most iconic.
Yes, you did say
movie weaponry prop is the lightsaber, followed closely by the Proton Pack. I think they're like, and they're great examples of like function over design and aesthetics. And the prequels kind of walked away from that with their design aesthetic of lightsabers.
Yep.
But like, I love how cobbled together Proton Packs and traps and the PKE are. And they're like, the PKE meter was a shoe polisher from the 1950s that they kind of gutted and refined. The traps are like boxy. The Proton Pack has like the wiring, the rainbow wiring that sticks off the back that like goes from the control board into the cyclotron to like speed it up and regulate it. And like that could get caught on anything and get ripped off. And then you have an uncontrolled nuclear reaction on your back in a confined space. Like Egon, what the hell were you thinking?
I mean,
with the ribbon cable, like
even though he was the villain, and I understand it, Peck had some points.
Peck had some great points. Unregulated, possibly noxious chemicals in your basement.
Yes.
Like, yes, Walter Peck, 100%.
And this is again,
I love it.
One of the reasons why I loved Ghostbusters 3 so much is because part of what happens in a game is throughout a game you upgrade.
Yes.
Obviously. And throughout that game, you naturally, through situations, have to upgrade your pack. And every upgrade to the pack physically alters the pack.
Yes.
You see the components hanging off of it, sticking out of it, whatever. And even though it's now 2008, and we're in a video game, we could do literally anything.
Which takes place in 1991.
It takes place in 1991. But what I mean is that
it's
being made in a virtual world.
Radically improve the design of the pack.
Literally anything to the pack at this point and explain it away easily.
Right.
But we stay in that theme.
We stick with the original design aesthetic.
And you switch.
Yes.
To different weaponry, and it alters the pack, like different lights glow, different components on the pack activate at different times.
Right.
It all just reeks to me of functionality.
Pack venting.
And I love it.
People are mixed on pack venting.
Mm-hmm.
In the game, you're in a third person over the shoulder shooter. Your weapon can overheat.
Yeah.
And so they incorporated pack venting.
Yeah.
And so if you don't occasionally vent your pack, the cyclotron on the pack physically opens, and the red lights in the pack turns out they're cooling rods, and they will emerge from the pack and reset. It's you just opened your nuclear containment device and vented radiation into, and it takes away your health when that happens. You're
gotta do it.
Egon, come on, man. I love that it does that because it reinforces exactly what you're saying. Function over aesthetics. Safety never enters into, each of us, what's to worry about? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on its back.
Exactly. And in the game, the reason you as the rookie keep getting these things is because you are the rookie.
Expendable.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's your rave.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I told you were going to take that one and run with it, but keep going. I only have one other rave because I limited mine.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Okay. Which we've already talked about a little bit.
Ridiculous, yet terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, there's something you don't see every day. Again, the mundane reaction. But the notion of okay, you choose the form of your destruction.
Yeah.
I tried to think of something that could never possibly harm us. Something from my childhood. I used to roast Stay Puft marshmallows by the lake at Camp Wakanda. And here comes maybe Mickey Mouse being the form of the destructor.
Yeah.
Or your childhood teddy bear.
Well, some Star Wars fan will argue that Mickey Mouse has become the form of the destructor.
Yeah, they would.
This isn't the Last Jedi episode.
This is not the Last Jedi episode. But here, and I love the fact that Mr. Stay Puft is smiling when he's walking down the street, jolly, crushing cars, stepping on churches.
Yeah.
He really is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man come to life. And it looks great in 1984. And again, radio controlled miniatures driving into the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And the miniature they built of the top of 555 Central Park West, which in reality is 55 Central Park West, and the top of the building doesn't actually exist.
Mm-hmm. And now we know why.
So yes, they blew the top.
They blew it off. Yeah.
Top
Bummer.
15 stories off the top of it. It's so the dichotomy of it. And then I want to follow that up with in Ghostbusters 2, because one of the things about a sequel is you have to reintroduce familiar things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
tough.
How do you,
it's not tough. Easy.
And I think they did it really successfully. So you had this perfectly terrifying thing in one of your childhood coming back to haunt you and destroy you in some cases. And then in 2, flipping that. So this symbol of terror and is matched with this symbol of hope and inspiration. And
something that could unite all
something
New
good,
Yorkers.
something pure.
Yeah.
It's such smart writing.
Yeah.
And using that familiar function in a smart way.
Just remember though, the Statue of Liberty couldn't actually walk like that.
Yes,
just remember.
It took me out. It's a rant.
She's hollow inside.
She is
just
Frenchy
like
now.
all women. Just kidding. Just kidding, everybody.
Sketch.
Well, here's the thing.
Walk it back.
When we sat down last night to watch Answer the Call, I said to you, I'm excited to see this movie because it will prove whether or not I'm sexist.
Oh, recalibrating to sexism.
The only way you could not like that movie is if you're sexist. The bad news is I didn't like that movie. So I guess now I just have to embrace it and love that part of me. I guess. There can be no other explanation as why you wouldn't like that movie.
Do you have another rave?
I have one last rave.
Okay.
That I would like to talk about for a little bit with you.
Sure.
Rick Moranis.
Louis Tully?
Yes. Amazing.
Turn out the lights!
He crushed it in both movies.
Yeah.
Both movies. He was a lovable loser.
Yep.
And honestly, I think one of the funniest things for me in all of Ghostbusters is honestly the legal defense of one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. I mean,
I know the blackout was a problem for everybody. I was trapped in an elevator I had to make it the whole time.
I mean, his character from start to finish was so much fun. And then at the end, he dons the Ghostbuster outfit.
To wear this stuff.
Yes. And he helps, and I'm quoting here because he doesn't really, but he's the one that everyone sees, so he gets all the applause, like he gets the recognition. Like, it was heartwarming to see his little journey from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
And just Rick Moranis, like, as a guy too, like he's just such a...
And he really did a lot with that character. They had originally written it for John Candy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he didn't understand the part. He was like, what if I make him German and give him dogs? And like, that's his thing.
Oh.
And they were like, no, John, like that's no.
I like John Candy just fine, but I'm so glad
he passed on it, and Rick Moranis' agent brought it to him, and he really took it to another level than what was on the page. Because if you have that image of John Candy, think of like an Uncle Buck character, or like his character from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, like kind of an amalgamation of those two.
Yeah,
and then Rick Moranis just took it to a different place.
Both of these people in Spaceballs.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Dark Helmet is like my all-time favorite Rick Moranis role.
Louis Tully for me.
But I mean, I can't deny Louis Tully. And like,
such a great... Who does your taxes?
It made me like really miss Rick Moranis. Like,
yeah, well,
I completely respect his decision.
I was going to say
he walked away from acting. His wife passed away in 1991 of cancer, and he decided to devote his life to being a full-time single father.
Yeah.
100% respect that decision. I give him lots of kudos. But watching the movies made me miss Rick. Right. Like seeing him.
Well, maybe we'll see more of him. His kids are older.
His kids have grown, and if it's
test the waters.
If it's calling him back, I'd be happy to see him again.
Back. Yeah.
But even like talking about that, like it's. Obviously, it's a tragic thing, but like you can't help but your heart warms for him.
Say something bad about Rick Moranis.
Yeah, right. It's like, to me, he's like Tom Hanks. Like, Tom Hanks just seems like Hollywood's nice guy. Rick Moranis also seems to me like just a nice.
Like, there's a great Onion article about Tom Hanks, like how he invites people over to play World War II with him.
Yeah.
Like, I would imagine that they're like, you could write an equally hilarious and believable story about Rick Moranis, inviting you over to play like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, or like play Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
It's like, if that were a thing, I'd 100% believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Rick Moranis would definitely be. You know how I have my top 3?
Yeah,
he doesn't bump out my top 3 because my top 3 are my top 3, but he's definitely would be my top 10.
If like someone's someone's not feeling well, like
Rick Moranis, come on in.
Invite him in for.
I think there's a sports term for that, but I don't know. I don't know sports terms.
DH.
Okay, I don't know bowling.
Pinch runner.
Is that a 7-10 split?
Yeah.
It's a 7-10 split.
We got there.
Yeah, we got there eventually. So Rick Moranis.
We don't know the sports.
Rave.
Rick Moranis. That's great. Yeah.
And that's my last rave. You can take as many more as you'd like.
I could.
You could rave for days
and on. I could rave forever. The Ecto one is just brilliant.
Yeah, and I kind of include that in my tech. Like I can
tech and design aesthetics.
And I like how used it was in 3.
Oh yeah.
Like it was key.
Yes.
Yeah.
It had the portable trap that the containment unit was down.
It made so much sense.
It did
too. Like it made so much sense.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of think of these guys as like garbage men.
Yeah.
And like that's their truck.
That's their garbage
It's
truck.
not just to get here from there. Like it's actually
functional.
It's functional. Like an ambulance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because you know me, I'm a sucker for a good ship.
You are a sucker for a good ship.
Yeah.
And I would love to own a 59 Cadillac.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think it's painting it red and white. Yes, it's like the ambulance motif, but it's also like a clown car.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
they
absolutely.
don't take themselves too seriously.
You know how recently I guys, if you did not listen to our Gargoyles episode, I have recently started a nonprofit.
Yes.
Sketches Menagerie.
Oh no.
Yeah, a home for.
Oh no.
For abandoned geek critters. You should start an auto restoration, a geek auto restoration.
Oh, I thought this was going somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious where you thought you were going to go.
I thought we were getting an addition.
Oh no.
Okay.
No. I'm just saying, like, you should get a garage. You should get a nice GoCo garage in the basement. Start collecting these vehicles that are basically just sitting.
I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. But
I've been amassing a small collection of vehicles.
Is that why I'm not allowed downstairs?
In the basement of the GoCo.
Oh, God. Well, Bronx spends a lot of time down there, you might want to check the back seats.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Shed stone skin all over the place.
Oh, the paint.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
I thought you were going to say we were adding Slimer to the menagerie.
Oh goodness, no! I wouldn't consider Slimer a critter, like an animal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do not want to incur the cost of that cleaning bill.
No. We have enough.
He will
stone
eat us out of
to clean
house
up.
and home.
Yep.
Guys, I could rave about this for days.
You could rave for days.
The last thing I want to say is
that'd be a great t-shirt, rave for days. It's just like a picture of you as a Ghostbuster. Rave for days.
Long-time listeners.
Get on that.
Get on that, please. In the first movie, the design of the ghosts are influenced heavily. We don't see a lot of them, but in the montage, we see some others. But the design aesthetic of the ghosts in the first movie were modeled off of real gargoyles from the New York City skyline.
Oh, that's neat.
I loved that.
I didn't pick up on that.
I loved that the ghosts in the first movie, with the exception of the taxi driver ghost, because it was a guy in a suit, were not really human. And Eleanor Twitty, I guess, was kind of humanoid, but her ghost form was more like gargoyle. Like her arms got very narrow.
Getting dangerously close to one of my big questions.
Okay. So like I really liked in the first movie that the ghosts were like less humanoid and more like creature-esque. They were more, it seemed like in the first movie they were more like otherworldly demons.
Demonic,
They weren't, what we were calling a ghost was actually a being from another dimension that like existed on our plane, but was maybe like crossing over from another dimension, as opposed to something that had died and was still lingering.
Yes.
And in 2, they walked away from that, and they're clearly the spirits of deceased humans.
You got the 2 criminals.
The Scolari brothers.
Love that scene.
That is terrifying.
Yeah. It's probably my favorite scene,
Titanic,
too. The Titanic. Oh, that scene haunted me
really
for
did.
years.
You get the heads in the severed heads on spikes because Vigo.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I forgot.
Vigo was basically like a Vlad the Impaler type guy. He like decapitated his...
I forgot about that scene in the train tunnel.
And it doesn't... I mean, the effects aren't great, the practical effects, when you like see it as an adult. As a child, I ran from the theater screaming in that scene.
I don't doubt it.
Put that out there now.
I don't doubt it. It's scary.
It is.
Even just having the ghost train come by then, too, at that point. Yeah. Perfect.
Oof.
Love it.
So good. I guess we have to transition to...
Do
you want to say anything nice about Ghostbusters Answer the Call?
You really put me on the spot here.
Good effort.
I wouldn't even say that.
Good effort.
I'm not going to say good effort.
It's the 21st century sketch. Everybody gets a trophy.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks for showing up. Yeah. Honestly, my only rant would...
you mean rave?
My only rave would make me look sexist and like misogynist. Should I do it anyway?
Sure.
Chris Hemsworth was the best part of that movie. And it had nothing to do with his genitalia.
Whoa, hey.
It had nothing to do with his genitalia at all.
Is this set to misogyny or bullshit? He was the
only character in that movie that
played a character.
Yeah. And for that. And if other people were in that movie playing a character, he wouldn't even stand out to me.
Right.
It was the fact that he was like,
and I think as
was a
evidenced
little
by that
oasis.
is like Holtzman was obviously supposed to be a character, but it just came off too much as Kate McKinnon doing like wacky zany things,
and it also came off more as,
didn't feel like a character.
Yeah, hers just felt like. Well, we are transitioning into rants, so her character almost just felt more like less a character and more just
be cool.
Yeah, like twitches this character has, you know, like outward signs of what this character might do.
More mad scientist stuff, which I guess is a character, but then if you don't
make it deeper than that,
that character had virtually no dialogue.
Yeah, no, that struck me during the showing.
So I guess here's what I've often said this. I said at the beginning of the episode. Kudos to those actors for finding something, and I think of a movie that had poor writing and no direction. Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the script, that Holtzman character, there's nothing there. Yeah, like what? At a Faraday cage, or like science term.
Yeah, that's what she was.
Say sciencey things and be crazy.
Yeah, say science. Yeah, say science things.
Good job finding something there to
be crazy. If you're on camera, you look different than everyone else.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, no arc.
No,
she didn't learn anything throughout the movie.
No.
Arguably, the other three did.
Yes.
Learn something. She learned.
She is as reckless
nothing
at the end of the movie as she is at the beginning of the movie.
Probably even more so now because they're on the city payroll.
Right.
So now she has free reign to
that sweet municipal insurance plan.
But listen, I have other rants that aren't about. Let's talk about Answer the Call a little bit later.
Sure.
Let's finish up our discussion of
classic. That was a rave, kind of. We were saying like Chris Helmsworth found a character, stuck to it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And those actors, in general, were able to turn in a performance with little to no, seems like, direction.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. We're going to get into it more.
Yeah.
We'll get into guys.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it more.
First rant.
Yeah, go for it. You go for it because I did like a transitionary rave to rant.
Okay. In
this is uncomfortable for
you. It
you.
Is. In Ghost...
This is like asking a parent to say what they don't like about their child.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Or it's like when you realize like because they're people, when you realize the inherent flaws in your parent.
Yeah.
Like not like there are some terrible parents out there. They're just like neglectful, but like if you had a parent
you recognize that your parents are human, and they're no more exceptional than anyone else out there.
And like watching real Ghostbusters, like they give the comedy to Venkman in real Ghostbusters, and like when you're like, as the movie has aged, a lot of the things that Venkman says and does is.
So this is a rant for you because this is a rant for me.
This is a rant.
This is the one I was going to close on, but let's.
Of what?
Let's
I guess
open
it's
this
like many people for like your favorite when you're younger, your favorite Beatle is John, and then like over time becomes George.
I don't know if long-time listeners know this though. I do not like the Beatles.
I know.
Feel free to write in.
Somehow I overlook it.
I don't care for them.
They're not my favorite band.
I'm glad.
But like as your Beatle changes over time, like when I was younger, Venkman all day.
Yeah.
And it really took me becoming a Ghostbuster I think everybody wants to be Venkman. I don't like, for some reason.
Maybe I saw it too late in my life. I never wanted to be
that's
Venkman.
what I think it is. It's like of when like I was a child, it was like Ray and Egon for days.
Yes.
Like Winston for days.
I probably would have been Ray. If I were to get emotionally attached to the characters.
Let's wait on this because this is one of my big questions.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, okay. You kind of answered it already.
Okay.
But yeah, like if as a young person, I loved Venkman, and now as an adult, I'm like, Winston's clutch.
I had a similar. I had a similar recognition.
Venkman's not a guy we should root for.
No, but I had a similar when I rewatched Seinfeld later in life.
Oh yeah.
When I grew up watching it live coming out, Kramer all day long, every day. He was the funniest character to me. Now, whenever I see an episode, George Costanza all day, every day.
Okay, so you know what I mean.
So I know exactly where you're coming from. Because a lot of times I think we don't recognize the fact that we ourselves bring so much to a movie when we see a movie.
Yes.
We ourselves change a lot over the years. And movies
those characters don't change unless they add
more.
That character on screen is static forever.
And so who you liked as a child is not necessarily who you're going to like as an adult. Movies that you saw as a child, you're not necessarily going to like, or shows.
So as a child, I don't understand the concept of like date rape,
consent.
That's not something that enters into your brain in like 1986 when I'm like four years old.
I was going to say children these days are probably taught.
Yeah. But so in Ghostbusters,
let's talk about Peter
Venkman.
Yeah.
There's a scene after the shit's kind of hit the fan.
Yeah.
Peter calls Egon at the firehouse and like, Egon, I'm here with Dana. She says she's the gatekeeper. Does that mean anything to you? So, yeah, I've got the keymaster here. So there's that little sexual innuendo right there. But Peter Venkman then says, I knocked her up with 300 cc's of Thorazine. She's going to nap for a while.
He did say it. It is in the script. It's right there.
I don't know.
Or not, it's in the script, but it's in the movie. It made it to the cut. It's
Maybe
canon.
It's in the script. It's canon. Peter Venkman has shown up for a date with Dana
that's
Barrett.
key. He showed up for a date, not for an investigation.
Yes. He does not know that she has been possessed. He has no idea what's happening. He thinks he's showing up for a dinner date with Dana, and he has brought Thorazine with him, 300 cc's worth. That is, I mean, there's only one purpose for this. He was going to drug her.
Yeah. Well, up until this point, she had been showing a lot of hesitation in seeing him and having a physical relationship with him.
This is supposed to be our hero. We're supposed to root for him.
That's what I wrote. This is what I wrote right here.
He is a sexual predator.
This is exactly what I wrote. I wrote rants. Peter. I needed less Peter.
Yeah.
He's a real dick, a con artist, and a sexual predator.
And if I had to give an add a rave to Ghostbusters 2, they really fleshed out the rest of the cast and gave them more screen time, with the exception of Winston. He needed some more.
That's another
I would have liked to have seen less Venkman and more Winston.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it.
He doesn't change.
Look at that. Look at that. That's what I wrote. Look. I said he came out as the main character, whereas I wanted more equality. Cut some Peter and give more to Winston. I wrote that right in my notes. Right there.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like, for me as a child who was like Venkman for days, Winston for days.
Yeah.
Give me more Winston.
That's my second. That's my second.
Guys, how about like we build a new team of Ghostbusters around Winston, who's like ready to put on the pack and jumpsuit?
Yeah.
Just give him a chance.
What I loved about Winston, because even though I labeled
Ernie
Winston,
Hudson's a great actor.
I labeled Winston as a rant because he wasn't used enough.
Yeah.
I loved Winston.
He's the token black guy in the first movie, and he enters after their first encounter.
And I wrote right here,
the hired help.
He's my favorite Ghostbuster. After both movies and the third, I still think he's my favorite because he is
so clutch.
Unlike the other three, and I guess Venkman is wishy-washy on this, but he doesn't necessarily believe any of this. Right. This is a job.
If there's a steady paycheck,
check,
I'll
believe whatever you want.
I'll believe whatever you want.
And
Winston is so overqualified for
I
this
wanted
job.
more of that perspective.
They cut this out of his backstory, but Winston's a Marine.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So like when he busts down the door in 2 and puts out the fire, and like when he like Winston in the game is always the first one into the fray. Yeah.
Winston just, again, it was his perspective of he has just entered this world.
Seen shit that'll turn you white.
Yes, exactly. and on the converse of that, Peter was just like such an overwhelming force.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just too difficult for me to look back and
he doesn't change through 2.
No, the only thing, in 2, the one thing I like about 2 better than 1 is that they do give Venkman a little bit more of a human characteristic in that he kind of innately cares for the baby. What's the baby's name? Oscar.
You're named after a hot dog.
Exactly.
You poor man. But here's the thing. He's actually named after the bologna that's in Dana's fridge in the first movie. He pulls it. It was like, look at all this junk food. You actually eat this? And he pulls out Oscar Mayer bologna.
That is so sad that, like,
that's what she named
someday
her child
he's
after.
going to learn that, like, what are you named after?
You're named
An
after...
uncle? No.
Nope.
A deli meat.
Deli meat.
Yeah. That's upsetting.
That was a little Easter egg.
Yeah. That's
oh,
upsetting.
maybe that should have been one of our...
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
So I guess we'll just sum up both.
After Oscar Mayer.
Both of my rants are just that less Peter, more Winston.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about Peter, I said this, I think, as I was watching 2 to you, is that in Ghostbusters 2, who's the character? Vigo's, he's like the curator of the museum. Or
Janos Poha.
Yanni says, or the way he treats Dana is, right, Dana.
Yes.
Right, Sigourney Weaver's character. Better than the way Peter treats her in the first movie. Yet we're supposed to, in 2, think, oh, this guy's creepy.
Right.
This guy only wants her, like, to himself. He wants her body. But he shows up to her apartment trying to weasel his way in. She firmly says no. He leaves.
Right.
He leaves.
Yep.
In 1, Peter shows up to her apartment. She says no. She closes the door. He inserts his foot and forces his way in.
Forces his way in the door.
But he's our hero.
Is he?
Well, he's deposited as one of our heroes.
As our hero, yes.
And in 2, we see the same exact behavior, showing a little more restraint, but we give him a foreign accent. And so he's villainous.
The xenophobia of Ghostbusters.
Especially from Peter. He makes lots of
where the hell are you from, Johnny?
Yeah, he makes a lot of foreign remarks, immigration remarks.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. That's really all my rants about.
Those are all your rants?
About the Ghostbusters universe before. So let's say those are all my rants of the Ghostbusters universe up to 2009.
Okay.
Why, do you have more?
No. I don't.
You don't have any other rants?
Not for the original universe. Just that I want more.
Be careful what you wish for.
I want more of the original universe.
Let's talk a little bit then about
another game.
Answer the Call. Let's just talk a little bit about it. It has to be talked about. But we're professionals.
Yeah.
We're grown men who watch a lot of cartoons.
Yes.
We have a show on the internet, so we are qualified to talk about this. Okay. Where to begin? We watched it last night.
Yes.
It was your second viewing.
Second viewing.
It was my first ever viewing.
Yes.
After everything that went on with the debut and the backlash.
Yes.
Both sides being petty.
Yes.
I actively removed myself from
You
all
did.
Ghostbuster
I remember
news.
You were like, I'm not going to watch it.
Yep. I'm not going to watch reviews. I'm not going to read things.
I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to read things. I'm not going to watch interviews.
You're
like, I will come back to it later.
Yes. I wanted everything to die down so I could see this without,
I remember that
without anything tainting me. Was I aware stuff was going on? Certainly. How could you not have been in 2016?
Right.
All right. The biggest problem this country was facing in 2016 was whether or not Ghostbusters were allowed to be female. And we've said this before with the new Doctor Who, which is coming out, which by the time, this airs on Halloween. So new Who's already out. I have no problem with Ghostbusters being women. I've never considered Ghostbusters to be a male-only profession.
And guys, they're still canon. Like I said, those IDW comics have done a crossover event where both teams exist in the same universe now.
And I mean, I guess this is a sexist thought of mine. To me, they're exterminators. And I guess in my mind, I often think of exterminators as guys. The way I think of like garbage men as guys. But I guess that's very sexist.
Whoa!
But there's nothing about the job that is inherently male. I don't go to myself, you know what you really need to be a good Ghostbuster? A scrotum. Like, if you don't have a scrotum, you can't be a Ghostbuster. But they turned it into too big of a deal. Both sides of this both sides of this debate. Would you agree with me or not?
I think the PKE agrees with you.
Yeah, I mean, the people who
both sides
who
shame on you,
so
internet.
hard.
Shame on you, internet, for the petty and offensive reaction to this property. Shame on you, Sony, for shoving a movie that seemingly nobody wanted into like a universe that was beloved. And shame on you, production team, for stooping to the level of pettiness to take the reactions that were out there and not only responding to it in like media and interviews at the time, recutting your movie to address it in the movie.
Yeah, that was sickening.
That's like, that is schoolyard level of pettiness.
Yes. The reason I say both sides is because, without a doubt, individuals on the internet were horrendous right out the gate. And there are, without a doubt, there's no question in my mind that there were individuals who were immediately against the reboot or whatever you want to call this because they were women.
Sure.
Those people absolutely exist.
Can I give you some context here?
Sure.
Okay, so the game came out.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is huge again.
Yes.
Like, unbelievably huge.
I've been going to conventions 15 years now. I've never not seen Ghostbusters represented at a convention.
It was when it's a slow build, and then when the game came out, I mean, it exploded.
Big,
and like franchises started opening everywhere.
Yep.
And really started campaigning for a third movie, and it looked like it might actually happen. They got the writers of Year One to do a script, a draft. Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd did a rework of it. It looked like Bill Murray was going to say yes, and then everything fell apart. And what's happening behind the scenes is Harold Ramis was really sick.
Yeah.
Like really suffering. At one point, he like forgot how to walk and had to learn how to walk again.
Yeah.
And that was something that wasn't publicized. There's a great book by his daughter, Ghostbusters' daughter, about the whole, like growing up with the phenomenon and then like what happened to him later. It's a great read. Highly recommend it. It's not my rec for this episode, but if you're a fan of the universe and Harold Ramis, read it. That's kind of happening behind the scenes. Aykroyd and Reitman and Sony like want to capitalize on this buzz. And so Bill Murray did an interview, I think on Letterman, where he's like, I think it would be great if we had like a cast of all female go like, oh, I think Melissa McCarthy is pretty funny. And then like, it seemed like 2 days later, it had all come together.
Okay.
So behind the scenes, like this had already happened, obviously. But they were capitalizing on the hype of the game and all these franchises that are opening. And then like the project's delivered and everybody kind of just goes, huh?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't what we asked for.
Yeah.
Well, you wanted another Ghostbusters. This is the Ghostbusters we're giving you.
Yeah.
And you're going to like it. Seemed to be the response that came back.
Right.
And if you don't like it, you're sexist.
That's the biggest problem I had with everything.
And that started with the production crew of the movie that's coming out to the fan base that's saying like, we kept this thing alive for 30 years. What? Like this is not the droid that we were looking for.
What did we talk about recently? I think it's already come out. I don't know. Oh, I think it was when we did our Marvel Summer movie wrap up. Like when you see these things be made, these sequels, these reboots, obviously by people who don't understand what makes the fan base love it in the first place.
Yeah, and this is my rant. I will read verbatim here. Ghostbusters answer the call. Paul Feig was the wrong guy to do this. He clearly did not understand what made the original movies so good. And guys, I like Paul Feig. He's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Ski Patrol. I think he's a great actor. I remember him in Ski Patrol and That Thing You Do. Yeah. I think he's a funny guy. I don't think he's a good director.
One of the reasons I had to walk away from the whole hoopla between yays and nays and disregarding everyone in the middle who was just like, excuse me, can we talk rationally?
Yeah.
Was that for as bad as the internet comments were by a group of individuals, the people promoting the movie, like Feig and
Melissa McCarthy in particular.
Melissa McCarthy just returned fire with equal like name calling, and like you would if you were in
this
school,
is not
it would
the
be called,
Ghostbusters we wanted.
Yeah,
You're a misogynist pig,
right? And they would throw around stuff like, oh well, we're not going to listen to all these mouth breathers that live in their parents' basement and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, everyone
we're the
just
mouth breathers in the basement that kept this thing alive for 30 years?
And can everyone just like sit down for a second and can we talk about bigger problems that the movie has? Because regardless of the genitals on the Ghostbusters, there are problems with this movie.
Yeah. Like, can we look objectively at this movie? One, there's no plot. There's no plot to the movie.
It's a weak plot.
It's the Ghostbusters are the same people they were at the end of the movie as they were at the beginning of the movie.
I will say this about the plot. The plot of Ghostbusters 2016 to me feels like an early draft of the original Ghostbusters. That was a big problem for me. Another problem was it was so distasteful every time they threw in real YouTube comments into the.
Again, shame on you YouTubers.
Oh, we are not condoning the comments, but at all, obviously.
But then also, I'm paying to see this movie.
Yes. I'm here.
I'm in the
showed
theater.
up.
I showed up to see your movie.
We rented it last night. Like, we still gave the movie money.
Come on.
I'm not showing up to watch you continue your feud.
Right.
With these people. Stop feeding the trolls. And there was just such a better way to handle the internet reaction.
Giving us a flippin' fantastic movie would have been a great way to answer the trolls.
And also, here's what left me disappointed. One of the things that left me disappointed.
One of the many things.
You can't, I've said this to you before.
Sure.
You can't say, we're going to make an all-female cast and then stop.
Right.
Making a movie at that point. That can't be your final decision.
Right.
And it felt like, to me,
they never got past that.
It was just like, well, we're going to make an all-female cast movie. And then let's not even worry about the movie, because if anybody comes after us, we can just say that they're mad about the casting choice.
Right.
That does such a disservice to, you talk about a lot of it is you talk about like, well, little girls need to see that they could grow up and be Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like there are buyers and builders in the Ghostbusters costuming world. Mm-hmm. I'm a builder. My friend David is a builder, and he has 3 girls, and they love seeing. They really identified with it, and fantastic,
excellent.
I'm glad that they're continuing to tell stories in this universe, and it's inspiring another group of people to like build proton packs and put on the jumpsuits and like play Ghostbusters and be inspired by
110% agree.
Thank you, Sony, for giving us another vehicle. Thank you, production team, for the effort that you put in to make the props. Thank you, actors, for doing the best that you could. Like, if they looked at the film and got something out of it, fantastic. I wish they had gotten something better.
That's my thing.
That I wonder if when they come back to the movie, when they're teenagers or 20-year-olds, or if they come back to the movie when they're teenagers or 20-year-olds, and are they still inspired?
Right.
Were the Ghostbusters competent? No. No. Were the Ghostbusters good in a crisis? Debatable. Were they strategic planners? Not particularly. Were they good business? Did they run an effective business? Definitely not. To the point where their business is so flawed that the municipal government absorbs it. Felt like, we need you. We're just going to fund you. You're terrible. Like,
they were also so easily manipulated.
You couldn't even hire an effective receptionist.
Yeah. I'm going to say something that might offend. To me,
okay,
the average everyday equivalent that we see often to the director raising the flag and saying this is an all-female cast is equivalent to thoughts and prayers on Facebook. Oh, good. It wasn't that offensive. I saw the meter go down. after a horrible thing happens in the real world, we see a lot on Facebook.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers.
And what always pisses me off about that
Thoughts and prayers.
is that is...
How about some fucking actions?
Exactly. That's where the buck ends for 99% of people sending thoughts and prayers. It's
so
more
offensive.
about them,
Yeah.
in my opinion, about real life social media, than it is about actually addressing the situation.
Hey, Sketch, this is a real show about fake things.
So let's bring it
your
back to
real
the
things.
let's bring it back to the fake things.
world, please.
So when Kevin Feige, is that his name? When Kevin Paul Feig says we're doing an all-female reboot of Ghostbusters, to me that's thoughts and prayers.
Sure.
That's
because of what they turned in.
Yes.
Not because...
Exactly. Yes, because that's where it stopped.
Right.
That's where the effort stopped on the situation. We need to give girls role models. So we're going to put them in the movie. Okay, you got to take it further than that.
Right.
Give them well fleshed out, developed characters.
Guys, 15 minutes into the movie, we have 2 bodily function humor jokes.
Yeah. Which, can girls make those kind of jokes? Absolutely.
Sure.
Is that a role model behavior?
Right.
But whatever.
What made Ghostbusters so great is that they're awful human beings.
And
that's what we took away from Ghostbusters.
Make a lot of fart jokes. I remember all the fart jokes. That was my biggest problem. I can't support your cause if you don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not in the power to then pick up this flag and make a movie that makes a younger generation of women feel inspired. But I can support your movie if you make a good movie that's deserving of being people. That's deserving of being supported.
Oh, what made Ghostbusters? A giant thing walking down the middle of New York.
There was definitely a checklist. They had a checklist. What do we need to include? Okay. Here's another analogy. Feig said to the world, I'm going to make a all-females Ghostbusters cast. And some of the world went, ooh, delicious. That sounds great.
Right.
And other of the world said, ooh, I don't like that. No, that doesn't sound good to me. But he was like, no, I'm going to make it. I made my shopping list, and it was everything needed in a Ghostbusters movie. He went out, he gathered all the ingredients.
Yes.
And then he literally just threw all the ingredients in a bowl. He didn't open cans. He didn't open packages. He threw everything in a bowl and presented it to the world. And the world was like, I don't want to eat that.
Canned olives. There's just a can of olives
like that,
in this salad.
Like, yeah, I get it. You have all the ingredients. Sure. Yes. Yeah, some of us said it sounded good. Yeah. I don't want to eat that. Okay? And that's what this movie is.
You forgot to crack the eggs.
Exactly.
In this cake.
Nothing's cooked. Some things are half frozen.
You just threw eggs on a grill and cooked them without cracking them.
Yes. And I'll boil my whole thing down to that. Okay? Anyway.
Not good. We did
watch it.
Answer the Call and recorded ourselves your listening enjoyment.
There wasn't a lot of enjoyment to be had.
There wasn't a lot of enjoyment.
I mean, if there was anything, we'll put a little bit right here.
Okay, Ghostbusters
2016.
Answer the Call.
My first viewing.
My second viewing. Guys, I'm just going to come out of the gates here swinging. I hate this movie.
I have no expectations.
You know what I mean? It's like a less impressive version of the
Haunted Mansion ride at Walt Disney World?
Well, I was going to say the basement of the library.
Oh. It just feels like a test run for what Ghostbusters eventually became. You know, and like and then they had to refine it and write it. But no, this is something that's taken all the groundwork, and this is what they're giving us.
Right.
Thor's trying to breathe a little life into this.
Trying.
She's an idiot. Is this movie trolling us?
Possibly.
So they decided not to go to the comedy route.
Do you see that?
Shades, you're talking too much. I'm missing the plot.
Can you smell isotopic decay?
Yeah, there's a Yankee candle.
Long-time listeners, right into the show. Can you smell isotopic decay? Go with Shades and Sketch at gmail.com.
Oh, someone's comment was the lamest thing I've ever seen. That was...
They are real comments from the trailer for the movie when it premiered.
I bet that feels so silly.
Sketch, you are unusually quiet.
I'm just... What's the opposite of blown away? But not sucked in, because that might be the opposite.
Underwhelmed.
Underwhelmed. Oh boy. Oh boy. This song's still going?
Yep.
This is sad. There are so many innocent people there.
Yep. All dead. Science stuff.
Where are they getting all the money? Like in the original one, they... Who was it? Ray? He like remortgaged his house?
Yes.
Or his parents' house?
2 mortgages. Granted, we're not the target demographic for this.
Oh.
Like, maybe they were skewing really young.
So you think it was like a kid's movie?
Maybe? I don't know. It's just... It's not good.
I feel like it's not entertaining enough to be a kid's movie. I mean, those frames are pretty creepy.
They are. That's sufficiently creepy.
These pages don't have any words on them. They're just blank pages.
Yep.
That's not how books work.
Nope.
I could make a 492-page book, too, if it's all blank pages. Look, the phone's still in the fish tank. Comedy. This movie's making me question everything I know about humor. I can't believe all those plates are staying on... Oh, never mind. Those plates were working harder than anyone else in this movie. So now you can destroy ghosts?
I guess.
Well, that's handy.
Why would you go back to the other weapons that can't destroy them, that just wrangle them, if you have weapons capable of destroying them?
Where does a ghost go when it dies?
Sketch, you're surprisingly quiet.
I'm just like... I'm sad.
Yeah.
I'm just like sad. Okay. I mean, if one of them dies, I'm okay with that.
What is that attached to?
Oh, God. How funny would it be if it's just a loose cable? And it just keeps going.
Like,
what turned their hair white?
Exactly.
You can see her dark hair underneath them.
Yeah.
Oh, her necklace says "screw you." Oh, edgy. They commissioned a prop designer to make that.
To make that. So, like, we filmed the dance sequence. We got to put it somewhere.
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh, an after credit scene. Oh joy.
Oh, I didn't.
We get more.
I didn't see this.
Oh, no kidding. No, they were setting up a sequel. No. That was the most offensive. It got 3.5 stars on Amazon.
I don't understand it.
You're asking if the Ghostbusters 2016 movie that we just watched was bad?
Yes.
Yeah. But see?
Sketch, you were surprisingly quiet.
I didn't have fun.
Yeah.
Everything went... If this was what do they call them? EKG meters when they check your heart at a this would be flatlining the whole way.
I think we have
It never did a little ups and downs and ups and downs.
Calibrated for fun.
It stayed so steady at a low monotone tone.
Beat.
But I have a handful of big questions.
Okay. I have 2 big questions.
Okay. You want me to start one off?
Yeah.
Okay. You were starting to touch upon this earlier. My question is, are ghosts and demons related? Do ghosts eventually become demons? I would say that the ghosts are just demons for the majority of the universe. But we have the librarian, who is most obviously a human. We get her backstory in the game. She's definitely a human. But when she's provoked, she turns kind of demonic.
Yes.
It deposits in me the idea that the longer a ghost is there and absorbs paranormal energy, they get more and more demonic.
The longer, so it's, I think we have to approach it from the paranormal.
Yeah.
So there are ghosts.
Yeah.
Spirits.
Yeah. which were humans that passed on.
There are demons, like
Yes.
malevolent spirits.
Which are not humans.
Not humans. And then there are interdimensional beings.
Which are question marks.
Question marks.
Okay. The others.
The others.
Okay.
Like in the game, you fight a Slore.
Yeah. And the Ghostbusters deal with all of them.
Yes. Because, I mean, it really goes back to the science. Because on some matter is neither created nor destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
It just exists. It has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
And this universe posits that some matter is leftover human.
Mm-hmm.
Some matter is
interdimensional,
ethereal,
mm-hmm.
and some matter is interdimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Now, regardless, the laws of physics are the laws of physics.
Yes. And these tools that they've created,
these tools we've created will work regardless
yep.
because they're based. You've got protons, neutrons, electrons, mesons,
mm-hmm.
bosons,
yep.
and we can, if it's matter,
mm-hmm.
it's tangible.
Yep.
Might not exist on the same plane, but with these tools, we can harness it.
Okay.
The tool can bridge the gap between the planes.
So to put it in artist words, which will help me, you can use a brush for
mm-hmm.
watercolor paint, tempera paint, oil paint, acrylic paint. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
Because the brush affects those paints and all different. It still uses
and
them.
Sometimes,
and I know artists. Chill out. I know there are specific brushes because mm-hmm. specific brushes
and
work
there
better
are
for different things.
Specific
tools that they use.
That they evolve.
Okay.
There's the slime blower.
Yes.
And there's just like you can contain mm-hmm. some paints within a container, mm-hmm. Aerosol form, mm-hmm. right? With spray paint,
yep.
you can trap it.
Okay.
And store it.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Follow-up question, though, to my question.
Sure.
What does Slimer fit into? Is he a ghost?
That's a good question.
Because he is not very humanish compared to the human ghosts that we see.
That is true. I think that features over to Slimer is always deposited as the ghost in lore mm-hmm. of a specific person.
All right.
We'll get to that.
Okay. So we are saying ghost.
We are saying ghost.
Okay. Not to bring it back to answer the call. Mm-hmm. Can I just say one other thing that I noticed about the movie that really impacted me?
Sure.
New York has played such a key part in both
Thank you.
movies. And I know you told me they didn't even shoot in New York.
Yeah.
But they didn't even use New York as a character.
Right.
And New York is a character in Ghostbusters.
Yes. Ghostbusters.
And that was completely neglected.
Particularly the first one.
Yeah.
And the second. I guess the second one too. And the game. Yeah, I take that back. Ghostbusters has always been a love letter to New York.
Yeah. And that one was not.
And it's shot in Boston,
yeah.
largely. Which
it's kind of insulting to New Yorkers.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of places that can substitute for New York. Mm-hmm. Boston, not one of them.
But I mean, when you think of great rivalries in this country,
yeah,
New York and Boston.
Boston just doesn't look like New York.
Yeah.
There are a lot of winding streets
mm-hmm.
and narrow streets.
Yeah.
New York, for the most part,
and even
is a
me,
grid.
I'm really just, and I'm the visual guy, but I'm even talking thematically. There was no, let's rally New Yorkers. I even loved in how they would shit on New Yorkers. Yeah. It just knew
being
New
miserable
Yorkers.
And treating other people like dirt is every God-given New Yorker's right.
Exactly. And New York just did not play into it at all.
Times Square slime.
I guess.
Slime Square.
I guess. Yeah.
New York really is a character.
You have a big question?
Yes. In Ghostbusters 2,
mm-hmm.
the premise of the movie is that Vigo wants in on the 21st century and he needs a body to inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
He wants a baby. He needs a baby.
Wants a baby.
He needs to be reborn through a baby.
Yeah.
Does Vigo really need a baby? Because he's able to possess Ray.
Yeah, I don't think he needs a baby. I think he wants a baby. I think the way this will work is the younger he can take over a host, the more control he will have over said host.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
I have a follow-up question to that.
Okay.
I like that. It's a good answer.
Okay.
Is he only able to possess Ray because Ray is so childlike. Established in the first movie that he thinks of the state like Ray is a childlike wonder. He's maybe the only Ghostbuster that's impressed by all of this.
I see Ray as the most curious of the Ghostbusters. And to me, the reason he was entrapped and enthralled by Vigo was his curiosity got the best of him. He started looking into the painting and seeing the dimension or whatever it was. And it was his own curiosity that was leaving himself open to Vigo recognizing a potential vessel.
Okay.
A baby is naturally curious and looking to accept the world and information. And I think Ray, one of the things that makes him so childlike is that he maintains that natural curiosity.
Sure.
And that's also what makes him a great scientist. Because he's looking for those, those things.
I think you've answered my question.
Look at that answer. You didn't even tell me that one ahead of time, and I
didn't. I was proud of that question.
It's a good question. I think it's a good observation too.
Thank you.
That he was the one that was chosen.
Right.
Shall we say? All right.
I think Winston spent just as much time with the painting, and so did Venkman.
Yeah, and Winston spent even more time in the ooze. So he was. I mean, he was saturated.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, Ray got up close. He not to make it about physical proximity, but you see this when you go to museums.
He was looking at that painting like a jelly donut.
He was participating with that. He wasn't just looking at it. He was really participating with that painting.
Yeah.
My next question is not to agree with Peck, even though I did earlier. But what exactly would the plan be for all the captured ghosts?
Well, he didn't believe that there were captured ghosts.
Yes, I know he did it, but like to play devil's advocate, let's say there is ghosts in there.
Sure.
What do we do when it reaches capacity? Does it reach capacity?
Oh yeah.
What are they doing in there?
I mean, Egon clearly says that they are running out of space in the containment grid.
What's the plan? Is there a plan?
I mean, we never see the containment unit again in Ghostbusters 2.
Mm-hmm.
If we use the animated series, there is an episode called Citizen Ghost, which is a fantastic episode in which they rebuild the containment system.
Okay.
Much bigger.
Oh, okay. So then the plan really is
and we even see in the game that it's kind of like an in-between of the original containment unit from the first movie and then the containment unit that we see in the animated series.
Okay.
It's kind of a hybrid.
So what you're saying
build a bigger one.
Yeah, the plan really is just to contain them.
Yep.
And just keep building bigger to contain
Matter
more
can neither be created nor destroyed.
So then follow-up question.
Yep.
If Ghostbusters were to exist in modern day 2018, would there be a sect of our society rallying
free the ghosts?
Yes, the
ghost liberation.
Rights of ghosts.
The ghosts of the undead.
PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Ghosts.
Probably.
Right? Because, I mean, at a time, some of these were human.
Yep. Probably.
And to be fair, to be on their side for a moment, if I were just a ghost trapped here on the mortal realm as an ethereal being, I wouldn't want to be sucked in and thrown in with a bunch of criminals and spooks and demons just because I'm a ghost.
Right.
Talk about the real discrimination in Ghostbusters.
The cartoons did a good job of always focusing on like gremlins, other dimensional beings, spirits, and demons for that reason.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, we can't have a cartoon about putting grandma in the containment unit.
Exactly. Or, somebody who just died in tragedy.
Right.
And now, more tragedy.
More tragedy. Yeah. You're just trapped in a containment unit for eternity.
I like to think of them as like catching a mouse in your house and then driving it out to the country and letting it go.
Yeah.
They catch the ghosts and they drive it out to...
We don't know what it's like in the containment unit.
The middle of the ocean. Yeah, it could be like a Pokeball.
It could be.
And it's just like...
What's like the inside of a Pokeball?
Nobody knows, but people for the ethical treatment of Pokemon believe or want to believe that it is a beautiful kind of place for them in there. Where they have complete freedom and everything. Other people I guess the people for the ethical treatment of Pokemon don't think that's what it is and think it's just confinement.
Right.
But I think the vast majority of Pokemon trainers think it's a nice place in there. Because a Pokemon could spend years in a Pokeball without being
right.
So you want to think it's not just in a little cage.
Bulbasaur, I choose you, and it opens
Yeah.
up and Bulbasaur's dead.
Yeah, right.
Starved to death.
Right.
You forgot to feed it.
In the animated series, Ash lets a lot of his Pokemon go because he's not using them anymore. Because he feels bad about them. Oh, guys, spoiler alert for Pokemon. Jeez, sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, boy, sorry.
Sketch did that. That's his fault.
Yep, that one's me. Right in. Any more big questions?
Yeah.
I only have one more. So.
Which Ghostbuster do you most relate to?
Most relate to?
Yes.
Most relate to? Ooh, well, not very date rapey, so I think that takes Peter off the table. I'm not as like purely rational as Egon. Like I feel like emotion doesn't go into Egon's character much. I don't feel like I am as.
Or you can choose two. I mean, it doesn't have to be
I don't think I can choose two though. Because basically I don't feel like I strongly relate to any of them, so I'm doing process of elimination.
Sure.
I don't find myself as like clutch in a situation as Winston. So I think I'm Ray. Okay. I mean, I am curious. I would get excited. I mean, let's be honest. I'd be terrified.
Right.
But I would also be excited.
You'd be geeking out.
I'd be geeking out. And
this place is great.
And I think
I'm going to try this pole.
Yes. Yeah.
We should sleep here.
I could do that kind of stuff. And I could easily lose sight of like a bigger picture by zoning in on like just what's exciting me so much.
Right.
So I will say Ray.
Okay.
How about you?
It's interesting. So I had to become a Ghostbuster to realize that I don't like Venkman. Yeah. And I am not Venkman.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid,
you wanted to be Venkman.
I think every kid wants to be Venkman.
Well, yeah, he was the cool, funny one.
I really
led the troops.
Like becoming a Ghostbuster. Mm-hmm. I have a real appreciation for Egon. Like I really like making things.
You like to build it all.
I like to build and make things and like make props.
Yeah.
And like build lights. Guys, I've said this before. I build lightsabers in my spare time.
I think you call them laser swords, though.
I disagree with
that. Not anymore.
For contractual purposes, doesn't matter. Either way, Disney's going to sue me.
Yep. They own both now.
Pack.
They own both.
They do. You know, body work on my car.
Yep.
But I also like to hike and climb and like be out there and be active. I think I'm pretty clutch in a situation. Mm-hmm. So like, I think I most identify to probably Egon. Yeah.
With some Winston in
some Winston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like I want to be Winston. I'm just afraid I'm not as
you're not
like useful in a situation.
Okay.
I see Winston as like Winston is the Swiss Army knife. He's got a whole bag of tricks. He's got a whole bag of skills.
Sure.
You know.
He can work on he's like mechanical. Yes. He services the Ecto.
Yes. He might not be able to perform the small delicate operations that like Egon could perform with a specific tool.
He's not building the Proton Pack.
Right.
But he's like manipulating. He can manipulate it.
Yeah, he
can't build the circuitry, but he can put one together.
Yeah. He could probably patch something up too.
Yeah.
But he's got a whole bag of tricks. Yeah. Like he's your real world connection.
Right.
Like, because when you're ghost busting, you're not just going to encounter ghosts.
Right.
You're going to encounter, like decrepit buildings that have fallen apart and cars that won't start. And like, you need him for everything.
In Ghostbusters 2, like the slime blower was much more aesthetic than the Proton Pack.
Yeah.
And I often thought like that was Winston.
Yeah.
Winston was a Marine.
Yeah.
So like this deployment aspect. And when you look at the slime blower, it's very functional. And it's it makes sense. You don't just have one delivery system. You have two deliveries. Like one can be compromised. You have two tanks for deployment. You have your reservoir and then you have your injector tanks. There's two of them. They both go to the nozzle in different places. So you have two different methods of supply. If one's compromised, it's still going to work. It's got a light rig on top of it. It's got like the padding because it's like much bigger. And like the Proton Packs are if you've ever worn a Proton Pack, it's very uncomfortable. It had like the padding harness in the front of it. When they repelled out of the Statue of Liberty into like, that's clear, like which one of them is going to have this talent? Well, it's definitely not Venkman Rare or Egon. Like, who rigged up the rappelling harnesses?
Here, I'm going to bring it down to 2 words. Egon's way of doing things is functional.
Right.
You know, precise functionality.
Right.
Winston's way is practical.
Yeah.
You know, longevity.
I like that.
Preparing for things to go wrong.
Right.
Problems with equipment.
And you really see that with the Ectoin too. With like the reservoir tank on the back.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the things that you talk about, like the way the gear develops.
And that's why I say he's clutch. He's the real world connection.
Yeah.
These scientists are so up their scientists' butts that they don't know the everyday problems that you could run into. Right. They're preparing for the extraordinary problems.
Right.
That's why you need Winston.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted more Winston.
Yeah, me too.
I have one last big question. Do you have any more?
I don't.
Okay. Last big question. You were on record earlier in this episode as saying in the group of 4, you have the brain, the heart, the mouth, and the muscle.
I added Janine, the caretaker or the mom.
Okay.
Yep.
I challenge you to assign those roles to our new Ghostbusters.
Oh, no. Okay. Holtzman's the brain.
Yes.
Both Aaron and Abby are set up in the movie to be heart. There's no skeptic. The Aaron character starts out as a skeptic only because she wants to have a legitimate career at Columbia.
Yeah. But she wrote a book on it. She's not
a skeptic.
Really a skeptic.
The skepticism
she's just hiding
lasts
that
15 minutes.
Yeah.
I would argue that Venkman never believes in what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's not a believer.
No.
And he comes right out in the first movie and says, I don't believe in any of this.
Yeah.
This is a money-making scheme for me. I guess Patty's the mouth.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Patty's the mouth.
And so...
But here's the problem. You don't have any practical character.
There's no practical character in this movie. And
you can't give it to Chris.
No.
He's an idiot.
He's an idiot.
He is just eye candy.
Oh, it hurts my...
But see how much harder it is to assign these characters.
Well, they're not well-developed characters.
And there's a very well-made video. Hopefully I'll find it. I don't remember who did it online. But was someone talking about the Star Wars prequel characters and the Star Wars trilogy characters, right?
Yeah.
Like the original trilogy. And to the same group of people, they posed the question, describe whoever, Han Solo.
Right.
To someone who doesn't know Han Solo, you cannot use his job or title, and you can't use his physical appearances as descriptors. And then people would come up with the scoundrel or the rogue or the pirate, fitting that kind of motif. Then they would ask the same question of prequel characters. Okay, describe Queen Amidala without describing her, appearance and her title.
Gotcha. Right.
Stiff. And it was a problem, and it demonstrated a problem with the characters, the way the characters were crafted. And I think you could argue the same thing for
I think people don't go to movies for strong characters anymore. Like this type of movie, they go for special effects.
Yeah.
They go for big action sequences, and they go for familiarity.
And I would argue that is where Netflix is succeeding so greatly.
Yeah. Netflix
people are using Netflix way more to watch shows with smaller budgets and smaller effects and action scenes, but better written characters.
The whole point of the movie is you're supposed to go on a journey with a character. And that's usually where, in the past, TV fell down. Like, the character had to stay the same for 7 seasons.
Yeah, so that no matter where you tuned in, you feel comfortable.
And Netflix has said, "Oh no, we're gonna do dynamic characters that grow and change."
Because now it doesn't matter. You can start this series whenever. You don't have to tune in on such and such a date at such and such a time.
Oh yeah,
and that freedom has really. So I think movies like this one need to learn from that and show that.
And the movie industry is collapsing, and I think they're doing these kinds of movies so that people will come back to these characters and this character and rewatch it 100 times on Hulu, Netflix.
Yeah.
Buy the DVDs, see it a couple times in theaters.
Yeah.
because the character that you fell in love with at the beginning, like in 2008, is the character that you still get in 2018.
So there you go.
It's not a good metaphor for life.
It's not.
Sketch, this episode's ending on a downer.
Well, Bustin' makes me feel good.
What are you going to take?
I am going to take this hot beverage thermal mug and balloons for my kiddo. That's what I'm bringing with me. How about you?
Choice.
Now, this is tough for you.
I'm going to take this fire pole.
Oh, that'll look great next to our stripper pole.
We're gonna put it in the GoCo. It's gonna go right down to my basement garage.
Perfect. I love it. Guys, we could talk about Ghostbusters. Well, let me rephrase that. Shades could talk about Ghostbusters.
Guys, I love this universe.
Weeks upon weeks.
I love it.
And we tried really hard to not just talk about the new one.
Yes.
And I think we did a good job.
I think we did.
And we tried to not make it about genitals. And I think we did a pretty good job.
Guys, we came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Yeah. And, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree.
It was a big Twinkie.
That Slinky got straightened.
It did. Yeah. We fixed this problem.
So, that's Ghostbusters. Does that bring us to our,
Shades and Sketch
recommendations? Why don't you start us off on this one, Shades? You have a recommendation?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I am going to recommend, streaming on Hulu right now. I think it's a great series. I'm going to recommend Extreme Ghostbusters.
All right.
If you didn't see it, it was a cartoon in 1998. It's got great character development. It's well thought out and planned. It is a cartoon. It is a syndication cartoon. Yeah. Is it gargoyles? No.
What is gargoyles?
Technically,
gargoyles aren't gargoyles.
Technically.
They're grotesques, guys. Yeah. They're grotesques. Continue.
Thank you. And
gargoyles need to have a water spout. Continue. Got a lot of fan mail about that.
Yeah. Filled up our inbox.
Yeah. As soon as someone knows you know art and you make a mistake like that,
all over. Can I get back to my recommendation?
Go ahead.
Please?
Go back to
Extreme Ghostbusters tells the continuing story of this universe that we know and love. It's pre-2016 reboot, so it's picking up where the real Ghostbusters cartoon leaves off. We've got an older Egon Spengler teaching class at a community college, and the paranormal is on the rise again. Our heroes are no longer nowhere to be found. Egon is older and not able to carry the cause by himself, and we get a crew of new Ghostbusters: Roland, African-American mechanic; Garrett, wheelchair-bound, street-talking New Yorker; Eduardo, cool guy, Latino America.
The too cool for school
character. And Kylie, the occult goth girl.
Girl?
Yeah.
I thought the 2016 Ghostbusters were the first female Ghostbusters.
Yeah, well, you would be mistaken.
Oh, it looks like Hollywood's stigma for animation is rearing its ugly head again.
Clearly. And it just told a great story, and the characters grow and change over the two seasons. And there's a great moment where the mantle is actually passed, and it gives something for our new viewers, and it gives something for our older viewers. And it's just a great moment in television that, once again, as we said in Gargoyles, that the show didn't have to be that good. Yeah. It didn't have to do it, but it went the extra step. And spoiler alerts for Extreme Ghostbusters. We get our original Ghostbusters with our original voice actors.
Oh, really?
Back in the saddle again.
Wow. Wow.
Just giving it everything they've got.
Passing the baton,
quite literally. And I think it's worth a watch. I think there's probably 23 episodes or 28 episodes in total.
Yeah.
And Sketch, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation for Ghostbusters is a YouTube channel.
Okay.
Which I would be shocked if our listeners didn't know about, but I'm going to recommend it anyway. Yes. Not so anonymous anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Epic rap battles of history. Because
you haven't wrecked this?
I haven't recommended it yet.
Oh my goodness.
I've been saving it. Because as I was rewatching Ghostbusters, all I could keep thinking about was one of my top 5 favorite epic rap battles of history. Ghostbusters versus Mythbusters.
It's a good one.
And if you don't know what epic rap battles of history are, I would be shocked. But it's two gentlemen, Nice Peter and Epic Lloyd. They are both rappers with YouTube channels of their own. But they get together and they stage these rap battles between two well-known figures. They can be historical figures or they can be pop culture figures. It could be a historical figure against a pop culture figure. And they rap against each other. There's no clear winner. You decide who won. The production quality has just gotten better over the years. The visuals that go along with the raps are great. I'd say other than Ghostbusters versus Mythbusters, another favorite of mine is Walter White versus Rick Grimes.
That's a great
That's
one.
a good one. I really like Clint Eastwood versus Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, yep.
And I mean, how could I do this without saying that I love the Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, Leonardo versus Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, and Leonardo.
That's a great one.
Italian Renaissance painters.
What is the science one? It is Stephen Hawking
versus Albert Einstein. That's probably their best one they've ever done.
Guesting Neil deGrasse
No,
Tyson?
that's a later one of Isaac Newton versus Bill Nye the Science Guy, and special guest appearance by Neil deGrasse Tyson. Not actually Neil deGrasse Tyson.
What's the one with Columbus versus
Captain Kirk?
Captain Kirk, that's it.
Two great explorers. Ash Ketchum versus Charles Darwin is a really good one.
That's awesome.
As well. I mean,
what season are they on now?
They ended season 4 like over a year ago, and we are anxiously awaiting the next season. There has been no announcement. If there's another season, I can't blame them. They put a lot of work into this, and it's
not easy.
It's not easy, and it's
Batman versus Sherlock Holmes.
Goku versus Superman. I mean, look at their catalog. You'll
Darth
find
Vader
someone
versus Hitler 1, 2, and 3.
Yep. Oh, Deadpool versus Boba Fett is a very good one.
I haven't seen that one.
That's a good one. So
it's a good rec. I can't believe we haven't mentioned
I don't think we've recommended it before. I highly recommend searching their catalog, finding a historical or pop culture figure you really like, and watching them throw down against somebody else.
Obama versus
Mitt Romney. They did that for their that election year, and then they also did Donald Trump versus Hillary for this most recent election year.
I just remember Abe Lincoln with the eagle.
Might make a return appearance.
Maybe.
In the latest election episode as well. Definitely a lighthearted, fun recommendation that you can waste a lot of time.
Yes, you can.
On your phone or on your tablet or on your
Sketch,
laptop.
thanks for potting with me today.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
And longtime listeners, thanks for coming along with us on this journey. Thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed. And we recently made the jump to platform Pippa, which has just opened us up to a fantastic number of new listeners.
And hi, everybody.
Thanks
for joining us.
Yeah.
Thanks for geeking out.
Just want to thank the guys and gals and everybody over at Pippa for helping us to facilitate the move and getting the word out about Geeking Out. If you are a fan of the show, you can always give us a rating and review on your platform of choice. It really does make the difference in boosting the profile of this show. And as Sketch has said in the past, word of mouth is the best form. If you like the show, please share it with someone who...
People still talk to each other.
Yeah,
like
people who
in person.
Listen to podcasts, or if someone has never listened to a podcast, we would be honored if you shared our show with them.
Ooh, they're first. How special.
They're first, yeah.
We'll light candles.
We will.
Yep.
We'll hold seance.
Yeah. Yeah. Bustin' makes me feel good.
It does.
Yeah.
And guess, we ain't afraid of no ghosts.
We ain't afraid no ghosts.
You can find us on Twitter at Shades and Sketch.
You can find us on Facebook, especially for this episode. We're going to post some things.
Yes.
Some different photos, different links on our Facebook page. Just search Geeking Out with Shades and Sketch.
And as always, you can email us at gowithshadesansketch@gmail.com.
That's it. Happy Halloween, longtime listeners. I hope you've enjoyed our foray into the paranormal.
Yes, indeed. Whoa. PKE is going crazy, Sketch.
I bet. See, this is what I'm talking about with that containment unit.
Oh, my goodness.
It's not going to last forever.
There is off the scale.
Okay. All right. You fight him if you want. I'm going to grab my hot beverage thermal mug, and I'm going to skedaddle out of this firehouse into a different Geeking Out property.
I'm going to go try this pole.
Okay, but if you get slimed, I'm not hosing you down again.
See you next time.
See ya.